So, hey guys, that's the problem. Here's the problem that we're always speaking about. This is the problem that we're always speaking about, where we're saying that, guys, it's important. This
you
thing,
guys are deep today.
Yeah, but
we should wear our
black ties.
Our painting shirts. Man, you guys are deep today.
No, this is what we're always speaking about. That parents work for their kids, right? Let's even say that the parent didn't pass on. The parent bought the property for their kid, right?
Okay.
And then that kid divorces, right? That means that your hard-earned money as a parent is going to be shared. Now, here's where the problem begins. If the property is left to Neo alone, right? The property is now registered into Neo. When we see the property, we are saying that this is a family house. But by law, this is not a family house. This is Neo's house.
It's not a family.
Guys, remember, there's nothing in law.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a family house.
Yeah.
It's only a family house if it's registered under a trust.
Yeah.
Then we can say it's a family house. But if it's Neo's house, then it becomes a problem, because now if it's under Neo, that means that now if the spouse comes in and they are married in community of property, the spouse has access to. Now you have actually exposed the property. Now here's how a lot of people do it. Right, here's how a lot of people do it. Especially you'll see this in the townships. A lot of properties are owned by people that are not alive anymore. Now, what do we mean?
Yeah, a lot of them.
If my grandfather passes on and we do not go and register the property to the next of kin, so my grandmother or my uncle, if that didn't happen, that means that the property is still owned by my grandfather. So if I divorce, the person doesn't have access to that house because it's not mine to begin with.
Yeah.
Now the problem becomes, if the property is registered now into my name, and then now I divorce, now the property is exposed and it can actually be sold.
The family house.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a family house. You put it at jeopardy because of your marriage type.
Yeah. So that's a really tough one. That's a really tough one. And now I know with death you can contest it, because remember, if let's say I was the child that was not in the marriage, and I can actually prove that this was my father, number one. Number two, I can also prove that I was financially dependent on him. Then we can actually take it to court that even though I wasn't written on the will, but for the fact that there is a paper trail showing that I was dependent on this person that passed on, and now nobody wants to give me anything, I still have access to it.
As you know, structure is important. We hosted a whole workshop whereby we called lawyers to speak about the different dynamics of structure.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people take this for granted. I'm just interested in getting a property in the right location. But then get that property in the best location with the wrong structure, and then you'll see yourself losing it. We need to understand the fundamentals when it comes to property investing, and that's what, again, we're going to do this year. This year, we want to go out and make sure that we host 7 workshops. And trust me, the first workshop that we'll be hosting, we want to call it Property Lawyers. That will be focusing on the different dynamics when it comes to structure, how to protect it as a couple. So we really need to entertain this thing as structure, because yes, you will get that dream house that you've always wanted, but it's exposed. And the thing is, we do not know that it's exposed until the lawyers are calling you. Now you're asking yourself, this is my property, I've been paying. Yes, you have been paying, but when we're looking at the structure, it's not protected. We need to entertain these topics, guys. So please make sure that you do follow us on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, even on TikTok, because we are going to give an announcement, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in Cape Town, we're coming through to Cape Town. If you're in Durban, we're coming through to Durban. Vaal, we're coming through to Vaal. Rustenburg, we're making sure that we're coming through to Vaal. Rustenburg. Pretoria, we're coming through, even Midrand. Make sure that you do buy a ticket, because we are coming through with our whole team, and these are the type of conversations that we'll be having. We're not having those conversations whereby if you want to invest in property, resign now and become a millionaire tomorrow. You're exposed. That property, that very same property that you bought with your last pension fund, it's exposed. It's exposed. That's the reality of what we're seeing. Someone working for 40 years. But now, because you didn't know anything in terms of how to protect asset protection, you bought a property cash. Now you're bragging for na property regular cash, and then I pass away. The kids are fighting. So we need to have these uncomfortable conversations so that we protect our assets.
Right, guys, and as uncomfortable as this is, guys, I don't want to be labeled as that guy that talked me out of getting married. Guys, marriage is a very beautiful thing. However, just understand and go in knowing exactly what you're putting yourself into, right? So what I would do, what I'm going to do when the time is right in terms of me getting married, number one, it's the marriage counseling. You need marriage counseling just to unveil everything. Then number two, you need the person that's going to be talking to you about this whole asset protection stuff. Because now, if you do not look at that asset protection, you're actually exposing yourself.
Yeah.
And now, not only because right now we've been speaking about death and divorce. Now let's also speak about if you do take out credit, and now you find yourself being blacklisted. Now your lady didn't have anything to do about being blacklisted. Now they're going to automatically be blacklisted. Now the hard part is if you are renting or if you were planning on buying a property. If you are renting, that means that you are stuck in that property. If you move on to the next property, remember they do credit checks. And now if they do flag it that you guys are actually blacklisted, this has a high possibility that you won't be able to get another property to live in. Now, if we are saying that we are married out of community of property, this basically means that we are seen as two different individuals. Now, should the person or my person go bankrupt and they are blacklisted, that means that at least I can still carry the family.
Yeah.
Or if I do go bankrupt, she can still carry the family from the perspective of getting loans and all of those stuff. So
I like how you said that she'll carry the family.
No, she'll carry the family.
We are done with those days of Indota must.
No,
even
yeah.
the ladies must carry us. Man.
Yes, because now you are thinking about it from a perspective that if I'm blacklisted, that means that we aren't able to get any credit.
Yeah.
However, if she is able to actually get credit and then I can actually get the monies, then at least we can actually work out something.
Yeah.
Now the problem is that if you are both now married in community of property, now I'm going to Cape Town. I'm going to Cape Town and you need to sign this deal today. You have to wait for me.
The second part, right, Tabaya, the kids, right? Now the question is more of who did you list as beneficiaries? So you, as the person who's creating this trust, has the power to say, all 13, I'm putting them there, right? Or you have the power to say, I'm putting only 6 in there. And we need to be very careful because if you put all 13 there, then you find out, what's the game? 2A, next I understand. Just to remove them out of that trust, they can take you to court.
Yeah, you need to do a meeting with all of the trustees, and then Sonseli Soko Court, and then it's just a whole procedure. That's why it's not advisable to just put in anybody under your trust.
Even if you've got 2 kids and wafagile bali tuda, but after some time you can see, but this one is going to run this business down. And now that's why we also need to understand the difference between the shareholding and beneficiaries.
The trustees.
Lead trustees, right? So that's what the lady is going to do for you also, is that she's not only going to look at the type of marriage and correct that thing, she's also going to explain in terms of trusts, what are the pros and cons, and also listing everybody. Once we listed everybody, what comes with listing everybody, or if we want to remove. And even for me, Lebo, that thing of including everybody in the trust. I've seen trusts whereby some families don't include some kids.
Yes, yeah.
So you have 4 kids, but you're not including all 4. And that's a tough thing. But then ultimately, again, is that when we're speaking about generational wealth, I think we have this mindset that generational wealth means I'm just giving money over to the kids and then they giving over to the other kids.
Yeah.
Remember something, if I give it to this kid and this kid messes up, it's done.
There's no more generational wealth. You need to start from scratch.
Lebo, the property that you bought last year, who sold that property? It was the kid.
It was the grandchild, yeah.
It was the grandchild. The property that you bought year before last, who sold that property?
It was another kid.
It was another kid. We need to start being sober, bro, and really understand that generational wealth is not free for all. You have to take harsh decisions whereby sometimes you're excluding someone because you can see that generational wealth is going to stop with them. And unfortunately, we don't want to entertain such topics because we are only thinking about, no, location. We're not having these conversations. Only now am I thinking, what's about two, that one, the problem. And the thing is, it's going to create conflict again. I'd rather have that conflict if I'm no more, whereby I gave my assets to the one that I know that this one will make sure that we push. Instead of having the type of conflict whereby I'm saying 50-50 and I knew that this one is irresponsible.
Yes.
Now I said 50-50. Now with that 50-50, this one who's responsible is now fighting with this one who's irresponsible, and then ultimately they want to sell everything. That's what happens. Guys, we need to start really having serious conversation about what is generational wealth. We need to start having serious conversation about asset protections, because when it comes to property, we tend to have a blind eye, and then our emotions get a hold of us because I've got 2 kids and I love them both. If I really love them both, I will say that, bro, you are taking 100% and you're going to take care of your brother if he shows responsibility. If he doesn't show responsibility, he'll be dealt with harshly. So generational wealth is not just some term whereby we are just giving assets to the next one, next. We see it live in terms of the properties whereby somebody just wants to sell it close to nothing. The kid wants to sell it close to nothing. And Lebo, I remember when we had a workshop, you were like, I'm doing this thing for me, for myself, so that I can provide for my kids, so that I can provide for my family, right? I'm not doing to give it to the kids, whereby I'm not doing it to give it to the kids without any knowledge, without any experience, and then I'm expecting a miracle for them to manage these properties. We are looking at generational wealth the wrong way. So we need to have these tough conversations, and in conclusion, let's have these tough conversations, guys.
Yeah. Let's hear what the community is saying, man.
Okay, Ms. Nong is saying, so what happens when I open a trust account number under my daughter and I'm married out of community with accrual?
Yeah. No, what I would say is that, man, if you are actually going to be opening up a trust, you can open up a trust and be a trustee, and then your child can be a beneficiary. So if you are a trustee, they still don't, your partner still doesn't have access to whatever that's within the trust. Because remember, if you're a trustee, you're not the owner. You are the founder of the trust, but not the owner of the trust. Because remember, we said that a trust is an individual by itself. You have to wait for me. Guys, you've been awesome.
This has been a beautiful session, man. And
you guys have been awesome, man.
Man, even the conversations, the questions that you guys have been asking us have been really, really key. And when let's implement, guys. This is a new year. We'll be doing a whole lot this year, as we did mention, from hosting workshops to even the content itself. We're just going to go make sure that we give out quality so that people can start taking informed decisions. And this is how we wrap it up, man. If you want a Zoom meeting with us, or if you want us to connect you with, whether it's an accountant, whether it's a property lawyer, please just send us a DM and say, gents, this is what I need from you guys. And we'll be more than happy, because our main thing is that we need people to start taking proper decisions so that we can build this thing called generational wealth.
You guys have been awesome, man. For tonight, thank you very much. Have an awesome evening.
Invest like a pro.
No, cheers.